Hello, everybody. Oh, I'll start that again. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Get Folked.
You. Up.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Get Folked, podcast anchored in our love of folk music, but enough slack on the line to wander into the worlds of Berlin, Limerick, and for today, especially the gateway to Dublin, or one of the many gateways to Dublin from Harold's Cross. My name's Andrew.
My name's Edward. Don't forget to like and subscribe to us on Substack and follow us on Instagram and all that good stuff, and listen to the podcast as well. That'd be great. We're joined here today by Mr. Sean Mulrooney. I'd like to thank you very, very much for letting me invade your space. It was very much an invasion there, actually. I felt I kind of caught you off guard. I arrived a bit early, so my apologies for that. But we're set up in here now.
I was like, is he here already? I was having my weekly shower, Andy. And
I saw it all. I saw it all.
He did.
You're
There was a
sparkling,
towel.
Sean.
We're putting that behind a paywall, though. That's all going behind a paywall. It's special features.
Cast fair play to you for being early all the way from Limerick.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It's good roads now. It's good roads, It's not like back in the day, So
I like the, yeah.
no, I wasn't speeding. I did no speeding. I was obeying the speed limit the whole way, so you can't get me there, So, but yeah, thanks for having us, man.
Yeah,
really,
it's
really
great
nice
to be here.
I'm going to actually, I'm going to test it to you, because like when you said you were meeting in Harold's Cross, I was like, you kind of get into these places and you just assume names and just go like, it's called Harold's Cross. But do you know why it's called? I like to do this, Sean. I like to quiz Ed on shit that I've looked up and he doesn't. Do you know why it's Harold's Cross?
Very good question. And what I'm also intrigued with is Mount Argos, because that's where it's just up the road here. And also, have you seen the stones and all that up there? Just these giant stones, and it just feels like some kind of ancient sacred site or something like that. And I'm kind of like, this is just like plopped in the middle of Dublin.
Yeah.
Mount Argos, old cathedral, giant stone monument.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting place to be, actually. I don't spend a lot of time here, to be honest. But yeah, go on. I don't know. Do you know why?
I don't. But was it Argos? Was that Argos an ancient Greek thing? Was Argos an ancient Greek god or something? The god of Argos. And then they named that shop after it.
Yeah.
But
I
I
think
don't
you're
know.
right.
It's something like
Or
that.
something biblical, potentially.
Something like that. So the answer is no, Andy. We don't know why it's called Harold's Cross.
There you go. I've known for years now. Years. I didn't fucking know at all. No, it was some Danish Vikings that the Harolds that used to. There was that was the borderline between the Archbishop of Dublin and these Danish Vikings, the Harolds. And there's about 3 or 4 kind of different everyone has their own story of it, but that was a cross put there to kind of mark it that they don't cross over that as well. And there was also supposed to be a cross there where the park is, where there used to be the gallows used to be. In the 18th century, they had erected a cross there because they used the crosses for the weighing. It was a weighing station as well for when they were bringing crops into Dublin and stuff like that. So when it wasn't weighing corn, it was hanging heads.
That is very good to know.
How far back are we going? The 80s?
For the hanging of people. 80s, 70s, 80s.
70s, 80s. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, no.
What we should probably, I'm just going to introduce Sean properly, actually. So the reason I suppose we're talking, Sean, is actually, I can't remember why it was that I reached out to you on Instagram. It was something, I can't remember what the reason was. And
I think you had bought a Tau record or something like that at a gig.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I'd gotten the record, but there was something I was listening to recently, and I just decided to go, oh, look, here's my my Tau record, because I got that record off you in person. We had met once before, and but it was, and maybe Andy, you'll be able to help us out with this, but actually I'm getting ahead of myself. I'd like to maybe you've got some big things coming up
Mm.
in the immediate future. And maybe would you like to maybe take us through that, and we can get into some other things then after that if you want.
Sure. Well, I found out about you guys, I think, because my sister, I believe, wasn't she on your podcast? Dee?
I tend to go around to kind of gigs and do a little bit of kind of recording and then asking the artists if it's all right if I kind of share little small clips of that now. But I've kind of
Nice.
met Dee. I think we at the same time we were that Ed is kind of not going into the stories. The same time, the same night I met Dee was the same night we met you actually, which was in a bar called Vine Salon. Damien Dempsey was doing a kind of an intimate gig in the
That
back
was
room
great.
there. And
That was amazing.
yeah, and that's where I think what was Dee's words to you, or no, was it you that said, was it Sean that said it to you that's my sister's vulva or something?
No, this all happened at so myself and Andy couldn't get tickets to the gig because it was kind of a small.
We'll give a bit of context, by
Yeah.
the way, listeners, about Dee and that phrase there from Andy. We'll go into that later.
Yeah.
Well,
So
there's many
If we have
lessons here.
time.
There's episodes to go back if you want to and look for the growler episode, which is where I kind of explain a little bit more context of this another amazing artist that's situated that's based here in Berlin. Dee Mulrooney is her name, and she's got her alter ego, or maybe it's actually her main ego, or they're merged into one.
Her
But
channel.
her
Her channel.
and she does some amazing work, theater and poetry and art and music, and Sean has performed. But we've had clips of her before as well, and but you met. Sorry, Ed, go on.
No, you're grand. So we were at the gig. We couldn't get tickets to the gig, but Andy was like, "Oh, I think there'll probably be a session afterwards," So we went, and sure enough, we got in, blagged in or whatever, And then after the kind of singing session was done, it was like that nice part of the night where everyone's had a few drinks and the kind of conversation is nice and loose, and you feel comfortable chatting and all this kind of stuff, So I was chatting, I think, to yourself, and you started talking about an album that you had done. And I was like, oh yeah, you were like, I have a copy if you want to buy one, right?
Right.
And I said,
She's been hawking the whole time, Sean.
No shame in that.
Opens up the jacket and there's 15
shame.
fucking different DVDs and fucking CDs and shit.
Well, I'm always talking about an album because I'm always making an album.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me.
Well, the funny thing was, is in the digital age, I was like going, yeah, sure, cool. I mean, I'll go online, I'll buy it. But no, you ran behind the bar, ran downstairs. There seemed to be a stairs down behind the bar. And then you came back up with a record, which was really cool.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, and we did a transaction there and then.
Great, old school. That's the way we need to sell music. Put your money in your pocket.
Yeah, exactly.
There's not enough of us. I'll buy one. So that was, I don't remember that, but that night was called Songs from a Holy Well, which, myself, obviously my sister and Damo, we grew up on the same road, Holywell Crescent in Donmead.
Okay. Is that where the Holy Well thing
It is,
okay,
yeah. And we put that gig together. I think it was myself, Growler in the early days before the show was developed. I played and Nina Hines. It was an amazing night. We had I remember the beautiful sing song. And I remember my bass player, Daigo, turned up with his double bass. Do you remember that?
No, see,
at 1:30 in the morning, he'd been out doing a jazz gig and he turns up with his big double bass. So we're in the wine salon in the back and he's like banging out the double bass and we were doing like Elvis and
I think we would have been there at that stage.
We were definitely there at that stage.
I actually think I remember you singing a version of School Days Over, actually, at some point of that night as well. If I remember, I don't know. As many of these kind of sing-song nights tend to start bleeding into one another, and it's
epic. We have the most epic sing-songs, man. Especially when Damo's over, it just happens. It's just like, okay, Damo's here. We're having a sing-song. That's the way it is.
But he seems really genuinely into it. As in, like, he can't get enough of it. But we kind of spilled out into the street after that then. And
I remember that too.
That's where I got chatting with Dee.
I remember that. I don't remember the record bit, but I remember the spilling out to the street and singing on the streets.
And well, here you go, right? So I was standing out in front of the pub, and it's kind of maybe a group of us or whatever, and I was just holding this record. And next thing, this woman walked up, and she just goes, "That's me." She just points to the record and a picture on the front. She goes, "That's me." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "That's me. That's well, not actually me, but that's me. And she kind of went into this whole thing about how that's the mother and and she
Divine
gave me this
feminine.
like amazing. I was like, who is this person? Like, you know what I mean? And then you come up and you kind of give a bit of context to the whole thing, but it was amazing. It was just blew me away straight away, like, and then we wandered the streets a bit more, I think, after that.
We found a Späti on Warschauer Straße, and we're there till about 4 or 5, I think.
Yes, I remember that too. I don't remember the two used. That's the funny thing.
We were kind of stalky.
We weren't.
You're skulking there.
Skulking in the background. Exactly.
With your, Andy had his recorder out. I bet you recorded it, Andy.
Stick around, Sean. Stick around.
I got something on you, boy. I got something on you.
But it was a lovely night. It was really nice.
It was an epic night, and it's funny because I barely drink anymore, and when I go to Berlin, I drink.
Yeah.
And it's that thing that I look forward to about Berlin. It's like, right, I honestly forget that I even drink anymore. I drink so little. It's been since I'm about 30, it's just been going down and down and down. My interest in it has just waned. It's just waned. It's amazing, and I'm really happy about that, because it's like you don't even think about it anymore. Which is not easy for Irish people. And some people really struggle with that. So I want to, just acknowledge that too. But when I go to Berlin, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to just have a couple of beers in a Späti.
Yeah.
Drink a beer, have one at 6 if I want, and not feel like I'm doing something weird. And so I really enjoy that part of Berlin. But then, and even now when I go back to Berlin, I can't even drink like I used to. It's just like, okay, there's like 3 beers, and I'm like, all right, I'm off. I'm in bed by 11. Like, it's sad. I'm only 42.
I know. Well, we're all only 42.
Are we?
We're all
thereabouts.
We're all on the same timeline here.
Yeah.
I think we're all going to start telling the same sad story. We better fucking cheer things up a little bit. I'm in contact, lads. I haven't taken a shit.
My knees just aren't the same. My knees aren't the same as they were. But John, before we go on, I wouldn't forgive myself if I didn't mention and do the promo for a couple of things coming up for you, because you're releasing your first solo album, isn't it? It's your first one, right?
Under my own name.
Your own name, yeah. And This Is My Prayer, and the album's being released. Correct me if I get any of these details wrong. The album is being released on the 14th of February.
Valentine's Day.
Yeah, Valentine's Day. It drops, and you've got a album launch gig on the 15th in Whelan's.
Yes.
And but more immediate than that, I believe, what day are we? Tomorrow, I think, is the Pufferfish is dropping.
Yeah.
And then, which is the lovely, like, you've released a couple of clips on that. I've heard some on Instagram, and lovely song.
It's off the scale.
It's a cracker.
It's mental.
Yeah, really, really nice. And I read your little, you have a little blurb underneath it to give a bit of context to the lyrics, which I love. I love reading those things. I love having a bit of like, there's nothing wrong with listening to something and making up your own context and whatever. That's fine. But I love it when the guy who wrote it gives the context. I like that as well. So that was really nice.
Yeah.
And
really nice. You'll have to give me some context then. If you're both sitting over there with context and I'm over here like a fucking idiot over here. Just
it's a funny one, Andy.
Contextless.
So I'll give you a bit of context. So actually, this is the only song that on the record that's old. It was recorded. I had to go through my emails because I was looking for details of the guy who recorded it and see if there was any photos around the time. And it was recorded in 2014.
Oh, wow.
And at the time, I don't know, you guys are musicians, right? And do you know when you just channel a song, basically, it's so outside of context of anything that you've ever done before. It just comes in a way, and it's almost fully formed. Have you ever had that?
Yeah.
I have not, to be honest with you.
I would say the last one. It was more. It's done before you even know you're thinking about starting it, almost, because it's suddenly out and it's like shit. Like I had the idea, and then you have the song, and then you're kind of looking back on, fuck, what was the middle bit?
Exactly. Exactly. That's what happened with that song. I watched a documentary on BBC about dolphins who capture a puffer. This happens. This is actually that happens in the deep sea. The dolphins they they capture a puffer fish and they hold it captive. The puffer fish releases this thing called tetrodotoxin. I believe that's what's called. Don't quote me on the name of it. It's a psychedelic compound from puffer fish secretion. The dolphins get high on it, and it appears that they're hallucinating, having visions, and they're tripping, and they go for hours basically, and they hold this pufferfish captive, and then when they're done, they let him go, and he fecks off.
Wow.
And the song just came. It's basically there's a fish in the tropic oceans that has psychotropic potions, and the dolphins are drunk monkeys, texodotoxin junkies, and the blowfish is a toadfish as they're spinning him round and round. It's that kind of thing,
Wow.
and it's very playful, very almost Beatles-esque. My friend said it sounds a bit like Dexy Midnight Runners meets Queens of the Stone Age meets Brian Eno.
It's not bad, no.
So. And then I was like, okay, so I made this record. I can speak about the album if you want and the themes behind it. But and then I was like going through other songs that I had from the past. I was like, is there anything that I haven't released that you know those artists always have a couple of songs or maybe two or three that they never release. Not many people hear it, and it will never leave you alone until you put it out. That's kind of how I am. I've got loads of songs that I've recorded that I haven't put out, and they're always somewhere in the background. And I was like, okay, this is the time for the pufferfish. It's me 12 years ago or 11 years ago, but it really fits this record. It's mad. And I don't know when other time I could release this, you know? So that's the vibe.
Did it feel finished, let's say, when you did you record it anew for this record?
No, it's the recording
original
from 12 years ago.
And did it feel finished to you when you did? So obviously it did.
Oh man, we recorded it in one day. It's a total anomaly. It's just wait till you hear it. I'm so proud of this song, but it's because it's so different to anything I've ever done, and it doesn't follow. Most of the stuff that I do kind of follows a pattern or a theme, or there's something that makes it kind of all stick together, and this one just feels like it's completely on its own.
It's
mad.
Actually, it's interesting you say that that fits a theme. Sorry, Andy, jump in here if whenever you want this, but I don't want to be hogging the whole thing. But like, I think I'm going to talk about some of the Tau records, and they sound quite varied to me, to be honest with you. I mean, okay, I get what you're saying. I'm no good at categorizing music. I don't have the education to do that. But listening to it, there's lovely variety there. You know, I get what you're saying. That I think the phrase you had read that was used in reference to was shamanic rock or something like that. Was that it?
As they said in France, rock chamanique. Down the d'entreprise, rock chamanique. I was like, that sounds cool. I'll have that.
Not when the man from Tipperary says it. Is it shamanic rock?
Shamanic rock. There's a friend of mine, or Laura from the band, she goes, we should just call it Shamrock.
Oh, yeah. Makes sense.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, shamanic rock. I'm totally cool with that. I'm not saying we're shamans. I love the shamanic path, and I love shamanic culture. So shamanic rock to me sounds great.
Yeah, and like I said, I can see where it fits, but there is such a variety in the albums, and like I'm just trying to think one that stands out. I was going through. I was like, God, I have to ask him about this. I have to ask him about this. I have to ask him about this. And there's stuff now just coming up in my head, but just to stick with what I'm on. There's a couple of that, like I'm trying to think. The Sturgeon, I think was that on the Drones of Praise? Was that Drones of Praise? Sturgeon, like the albums are really well put together, and they're lovely to listen to in sequence, and this then along that kind of sequence that you're listening to, it just jumps out for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know. Has anyone said that to you before?
No, thank you for that. Bringing me back to that song. It was about a dream I had about a sturgeon that was going down the Liffey. You know, they're massive, right? You know, Andy, sturgeons.
No.
I seem
What do
to
you
be
mean?
about
Do you mean?
fish today. It is Aquarian New Moon, so we're going to talk about the fish. Yeah, the sturgeon is they're massive freshwater. I don't know how to. They're mad looking. They're prehistoric, I believe.
Oh, really?
They're one of the oldest freshwater fish. Maybe not prehistoric. Are whales prehistoric? They are.
I don't know, to be
They're
honest.
they're around since the dinosaur times, I believe. Right, blue whale, millions of years.
I'm not sure. I'd only be lying.
If we're on Joe Rogan, we'd have someone to look that up. Andy,
I'm on it. I'm on it here now. Well, like, no, off the top of my head, I think sturgeons are long-lived, late maturing fishes with a distinctive characteristics such as a heterocircle caudal fin, similar to those of sharks. But I'm not sure. I'm just spitballing here.
well, I had a dream about the sturgeon, and it was a great dream because the sturgeon, in the dream was going down the Liffey, and I didn't know, but the Liffey was a giant fish tank,
Okay.
and I was like following this sturgeon down the Liffey, but it was a giant fish tank, and I was like, "Fuck, I have to help him get out of the fish tank." Oh, now look at that's deep psychological,
Yeah.
psychology. And anyway, he broke free out into the sea,
Mm.
and that dream just stuck with me. And then I was thinking, like, wow, the song has this kind of Chucky kind of going through, and that's kind of where I got it from. And I was also very influenced by Hun Hur 2 at the time. Do you know the Mongolian folk band? If you're like, I know you're mad into folk, all things folk. They're a big influence, and it's this kind of beat, like.
Okay. Are they throat singers? They don't do
Yeah,
the throat
they
singers.
do the throat singing.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
right, yeah.
So that's where it came from, and yeah, it's one of those weird, doesn't really fit. Yeah,
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, as pieces of work, they all fit together beautifully. Like, you know what I mean. But yeah, sorry, just that just stuck out. When
You were bang on with Jurassic period as well, early Jurassic period. So you're in the right way, and they're an ugly looking big fish, but they're not that ugly, but they're fine. But they've got that dinosaur kind of fin on the back where it's all jagged and shit. But if you want to look it up, listeners, you can.
cool. It's
But
good to know.
you're bigger into the spirituality kind of thing, Sean. Are you like? But not. I'm going to put on it that it's not Christianity you're big into, or maybe forms of it, or what way are you landing in terms of kind of, I see the kind of the stuff that you talked about, and you talked about that gig. I was at that gig that you played with Nina and Wallace Bird, and back here in Berlin. I couldn't stay for the sing song, unfortunately, but yeah, and you kind of your song Ag Muscliocht, the awakening, is it kind of hooked into kind of Irish folklore and Irish kind of the kind of, and I know Dee has been kind of done pieces for this writer. I will say his name now incorrectly now, but Manchon Magon,
Mancon Magon, yeah.
Mancon Magon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like you're kind of you're embodying that kind of stuff a lot. And you were at the front of Newgrange, I believe. Paul and my wife showed me a picture of you at the front of Newgrange during the New Year. So you're really embracing all of this kind of what would you say? I guess this earth connection to the earth.
Yeah, big time. I absolutely adore the Celtic wheel. So I find that gives a lot of energy for life and inspiration in Bass. So that we're coming up to Bridget's now. So in bulk, I just find it's very spiritually nourishing to have these ceremonies and connect to the natural cycles of life, and known as the wheel, or in Native American they would call it the medicine wheel. So yeah, spirituality is a big part of my life, but it's more a results-based spirituality, not the offshore God in the sky spirituality.
Yeah. And how did you start getting
feet on the ground, digging in the dirt, kind
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
How did you start? How like what? Because I know I chatted Dee quite a bit, but I don't think we've had long enough chats to kind of go into this and me kind of to understand, apart from Growler and watching her do her kind of thing and kind of getting a sense of okay, this person is very much connected to the spirit of the room, the presence in the room, who is in the room, and what they're bringing into it, and what will leave it, and that's what that whole night was very much kind of about. Was like what we're starting here, and I guess the gateways we're opening up.
Yes.
But like, how do you start getting into that? Is that something your family kind of your work got you into? Because the two of you are kind of a similar, I guess, similar thinking. You often talk about being very close friends as well. Believe best friends, that you're quite close. And
Yeah.
how did you end up that both of you being down that same path?
Wow, that's a really good question. We're on a similar path. I think Dee probably influenced me more than I actually could imagine, because I remember, when Dee was younger, like when she was 16 and I was, I don't know, 8, like she was getting into like Eastern philosophy and meditation and ancient Egypt and mysteries and all of that, and I was actually into that too. And Dee used to buy me crystals and stuff when I was like really young, and all of those things kind of stuck with me. But then when I hit my like 12, 13, was getting into like football, hanging out with the lads, and that kind of part of me, I suppose, was a little bit suppressed for a while. And then um, I I think like when I started to, well, firstly, as Ireland is full, like it's a deeply spiritual place. Like I think, although like our relationship to the goddess, I think, is just everywhere. Look, for example, the River Boyne, named after goddess Boan. Um, there's so much from our ancient past that, and it's hidden and blended in with the Christianity, and the Christianity, for all of its detriment, has a profound faith. Like my mom, for example, she she hated the church, and I fucking loved that she hated the church, because that's where I got it from. I was like, fuck that, I don't need to go to mass. What the fuck? I never, even when I was in school, I was like, this isn't right, this isn't for me. But I love the spiritual part of it. I love the ceremony, I love the ritual, I love everyone coming together to pray. I love all of that. That's like, that really fills me up, So I found that that's all connected. But then, as I went off on a journey when I was in my 20s, ended up signing a record label, did the whole massive kind of, almost made it, planes to LA. And then when I was about 27, 28, I had what's known as a Saturn return. You probably know about that, Andy. When you're 27, in astrology, you get this Saturn return, and then you get your life up until then mirrored back to you. And it's like, okay, which way are you going to go? A lot of people, that's why the rock stars who die at 27, they say that it's their Saturn return. They weren't able, for the fame, they didn't have the right people around them. They got too much too quick. Hendrix, Joplin, Kurt Cobain,
Amy Winehouse, I think,
Amy
died as well.
Winehouse. There's Jeff Buckley. I think he wasn't 27, but anyway. So basically, they got their Saturn return. They weren't able to handle it. They all went off the rails. They fell into drugs. I was the same when I was 27. I was, when I think back, it was the worst part. I was doing a lot of drugs, and I was drinking a lot, and I I'd split up with a then girlfriend I was in, and I was in a real bad spot. I was in Berlin, which didn't help to be completely on the rampage.
Ground zero.
So then when I was...
There's never a better enabler than Berlin.
No, there's another like 10 people going through the same stuff at the bar, and they don't know why they're going through it, but they're going through it. And but I had a great time as well. Like for the few real hardships in Berlin, everything else was just, so much worth it, and the freedom and the expression and everything that we experienced there. But so that happened, and then when I was 30, I went to Mexico. And I went to an indigenous community there, and then I found my home I found the tangible spirituality that I'd been searching for and longing for, which was connecting to the fire, the water, the sun, Mother Earth, and the simplicity of understanding that everything is alive, and these are oldest ancestors: the fire, the elements, and the fifth element, the ether, the dream. Then you go into the directions, what's the guardian of the north, the east, the south, the west, and then having this indigenous world view as an inspiration. I went to California. I ended up doing my first sweat lodge with a Hopi elder. The Hopi people from They're North American native. They like to be called, I believe now it's more in line with what the First Nations. I don't think Native American. I'm not sure, but I don't think it's what they want to be called anymore.
What's a sweat lodge?
A sweat lodge is how long do we have? Looking at the clock. The sweat lodge is
Arrested Development. There's a sweat lodge in that.
Is there?
There is. It's. Let's not go into a tangent.
That was a bit after my time. Arrested Development. The sweat lodge is basically you go into the womb of the earth. You create a structure, a circular structure, and it's made with willow. You have a circle in the center, which represents the womb. You're basically going back into the womb. It comes from North America. Then you have a fire, and you have stones. You heat the stones. You put the stones in the fire. The stones represent the grandmothers and the grandfathers, the ancestors, or the stones are the ones who heal. You heat the stones up, and then you bring them into the center, and then you pour water. You close it up. You cover it. So back in the days, they would have used buffalo skin to cover them, so they're completely dark. So you go into this dark womb space, and then you have 4 doors. So different traditions are different. So one would be for the water, for the earth, for the air, and you do different healing rounds. Like you can do, one is to release, one is to pray out loud, one is to ask for forgiveness, one is to have a giveaway. There's all different traditions, but the bones of it is there's 4 doors, and 4 times the door is open, and it's basically about cleansing and purifying, but also giving back to the earth, and like giving your sweat to the earth, and singing, and you do sing different songs. So so I'd been really, so the Red Road Native American culture is what speaks to me most, as well as Irish, ancient Irish traditional. So I went there and I met with this elder called Uncle Fred. He welcomed me in, and it was just amazing experience. And I keep getting these affirmations of this is the right path, and I was afraid. Like, I went there on my own. I didn't know really what I was doing, so it was kind of like a hero's journey. This what's his name?
Carl Jung.
It was kind of like, exactly, just go, follow your gut. Don't really know why you're going, but you have to.
And you come back changed.
Yeah, well, to a certain degree, but the work keeps going.
That or I presume they sound like they were quite welcoming of you
Yeah.
into those kind of and explaining all this. Did that like? Did that give you a kind of that help your vocabulary coming back to Ireland and going, well, we have the same sort of stuff here in our mythology and in our heritage and in the Gaelic culture? Did that help you explore it a bit more here then?
100%. I had such a resistance to Ireland. When I was in Berlin, I avoided Irish people. I
Yeah,
you're like, oh, I know what you mean.
yeah.
It was like, go ahead.
No, because there was one time I was wearing a Tipperary jersey in Berlin, right? And I think it was at
A Limerick man wearing a Tip jersey.
No, I'm from Tipperary.
Oh,
I'm
you're
in
from
Limerick
Tip.
now, yeah.
Right.
But
Oh, jeez, he didn't say that, did he? Oh, jeez, said, okay. Oh, jeez.
But I was at Station Store and I was going up the steps and this guy was coming down the steps goes, fucking Tipperary wanker. I was like, we're in Berlin, man. You know, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, like just let it go. So I didn't wear the tip. That was the last time I wore it.
Ed whipped out his hurl then and his ball and immediately went to war and then started.
In his overcoat.
How about you?
But yeah, I know what you mean.
Kind of a Satanta moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Ball
Yeah,
between
yeah.
the fucking
I was
eyes.
a very bad hurler, so I took out the person beside him. I didn't hit him at all.
So was I,
But that
so
scared
was
him enough that he ran off. He saw the power.
Yeah.
Sean, would you mind as I said to you, and in my defense, before that gig that Dee and yourself and Damien and Wallace and Nina and your niece or your nephews did, I hope I didn't leave anyone out there. You know when you start naming people and you're like, fuck, now I have to get everybody in. You saying Ag Muscliocht. I've been practicing saying that word, and Dee had said beforehand, share all this stuff on Instagram, blah, blah, blah. So I took full liberty in that, and so I'd like to play a little bit of Ag Muscliocht if you wouldn't mind. So this is a recording I do on my own recording device, and as we say to all listeners, is that if you want to get a true representation of the music that you hear on this podcast, you need to go buy an album, go to a live gig, and as Sean is attesting to here, is connect with the people around you, connect to the music and connect to the people that go to the music.
And there's actually a copy of all of Sean's records in the basement of every bar in Ireland. And if you meet him in a bar, you just pop downstairs, he'll pick one up and
especially in Leitrim, just want to say, any bar in Leitrim, you'll find my albums.
All fucking war bunkers there with just fucking records.
We have a choice since time immemorial.
Fuck it, I'll try that again.
yeah.
We have a choice since time immemorial. We have a voice. What goes into our bodies must never be forced. This spiritual sickness will run its course. It must be art. It must be art. It must be art. It must be.
Apologies, that was a bit loud. The ears. Hopefully they'll get that in post-production.
It sounded great here.
Yeah.
So that's what's in store for people. If they,
The
buy
awakening.
the album.
Yeah, that's how it translates, right? Is it the awakening? And I assume it's kind of a rebirth, a kind of idea of rebirth, is it? Or
It is. I'll tell the story real quick. It's a long one, but the long and short is, I asked my friend Paul Brennan from Clannad, what is the Irish word for the awakening? And he was like, oh, let me come back to you on that. And he came back with this word, Ag Muscliocht, and it literally jumped off out of my phone. I was like, this is the coolest word I've ever heard. The sound of it, Ag Muscliocht.
Yeah.
Like, it just powerful. But I actually thought that was the word for the awakening. And then when I was going to release the single, I was like, Paul, look, I'm just double checking the spelling's right, because Paul's the one I go to for any Irish questions, any spellings. You know, he's a Gaeilgeoir. He grew up in Donegal. Everybody knows Clannad. And he said, actually, no, I made it up myself. It's a made up word. But it's not a made up word. It's a evolution, because basically he put together egmuscult, which means to awaken or to be awake, and dreocht, magic. So it's like awake and magic together. So it's a magical awakening, which is an amalgam of two words, which is a new word, a brand new word.
Wow.
It's class. I love it.
That's
Nice.
brilliant. And the song is class.
It is. I have to say, from a personal kind of perspective, I guess, because we know we knew we were going to be chatting to you. I became, same as Ed, listening kind of to a lot of your stuff, and that one in particular. And I guess that resonates with myself over the last year. Like, you talk about having your kind of thing in 27, what you call it, your Saturn return, and at 27, and it was because you were hitting the heights of whatever, or you were maybe hitting the heights and you kind of needed to come back down. Don't think I was hitting any heights or anything, but I definitely reached the end of a road and needed to get out, and I feel like I'm coming out the other side. So again, this kind of song was kind of resonating a lot with me over the last few days, for reasons that I don't want to get into on the podcast. But
nice. Thanks for sharing that, Andy.
beautiful.
That's beautiful.
Oh, it was
How
really
old
nice.
are you?
I do. How
How
old
old
am
are
I?
you now?
I'm 42.
So we're the same. Are we all 42?
We're all 42.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
A trifecta of 42-year-olds.
That is super cool.
I have a question though, because when I was listening to, I wanted to ask. So there's a line in the song: "They stand in our power and create something new from which is decaying, like my
Mycelium.
mycelium blue, mycelium dew."
New. Do.
Do.
Mycelium Blue. Sounds like a new band.
Because I've been
Mycelium Blue.
What is celium?
So-
what is that?
So basic mycelium is the fabric of life. It's mushrooms that connect everything.
Okay, so psilocybin, like psyllium
No,
kind of thing.
nothing to do
No?
with psilocybin. Mycelium is the fabric of life. It's the veins of the earth. So there's mycelium in absolutely everything underground, and in above, like organic life, it has mycelium. Everything. So, you know the brain. You know when you see a brain scan and you see all these neurons and all the veins, hundreds of thousands, billions, maybe. That's what the earth is like. It's a brain, and the mycelium. That's how trees can talk to each other. Like there's trees that can communicate from like 10 kilometers away through mycelium. They're neural pathways for the earth, basically. So what mycelium does is it creates from death. That's what it does. It just keeps rebirthing things. And so, you know, like if there's a rotten piece of fruit and you see that kind of grey icky stuff that's on a, you know, that's mycelium.
Okay.
The word is mycelium.
Mycelium.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I googled celium, right? And I was looking it up, and it kind of fits into our 42-year-old falling apart bodies. Because like celium, I was like celium is mainly used as a dietary fiber to relieve symptoms of both constipation and mild diarrhea. And I was like, is Sean is sneaking in a few kind of like health needs in here?
For those of you with bowel conditions,
the
Reawakening
awakening.
our bowels.
advertisement. Hey, it's Tony Robbins here. You guys constipated. You eating too many hobnobs.
You need to change the music video. You change the music video, and it just says your face really relieved, looking like it's really fucked up, and then it's slowly relieving, and it's like
That's really great, though. That's
nice.
Really great. I can't wait to hear the rest of the album. Actually, it should be really good. And
It's a powerful tune, isn't it? It's one of those ones that you're just like, I just said everything I need to say.
Yeah.
Everything in one song.
Actually, I meant to ask you as well, just in terms of saying things. You know, the titles of songs and the titles of albums. Is that something that you put a lot of thought into? This might be a stupid question, I don't know. Or is it just something that you use this is what this is called? It's not really important what the song is called. It's more about the message and whatever.
Ed, I have to be honest. it just comes very naturally.
Mm.
I never have problems with song titles.
Yeah.
I don't know why, because some people are like, I don't know what I'm going to call this song, and they take months.
Yeah.
It just comes. There's a lot of songs that I haven't released that I struggle with, but all the ones that I've released, they always seem to just kind of naturally have their own title. It's
Right.
mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's interesting now, because I was kind of wondering about that. And I'm just kind of conscious of time, because I just have a load of questions that I want to ask, and I'm just going to wreck your head now for the next 10 minutes. So I'm sorry
it's
about
the
that. in
speed
advance.
dating round, is it?
Speed
Fucking
dating.
Can I have a fucking bit of go over here as well? I want some of Sean. Fucking share the Mulrooney.
Well, actually, before we get into my botched line of questioning, one of the podcasts I watched, right, was Logan Sounds Off. You were doing a podcast with Logan Sounds Off recently, and I would just say to anyone listening, if you want to hear a really good interview, like, check that out. Like, not to diss ourselves or anything, but like, that was unbelievable. That guy has an incredible amount of musical knowledge.
Oh my God. He's only 12, by the way.
Yeah.
He's such a special kid.
It's unbelievable. I couldn't get over how much knowledge he had, how much vocabulary he had to talk about
and
music.
Research.
And research. Yeah. It's incredible.
Oh, really? Is he a musician himself as well? Is he, or is he just really into
song? He is. Yeah, he's a musician. He's very. These younger kids, they seem to come in like a little bit more advanced or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's really, really good. You don't feel like you're getting interviewed by a 12-year-old at all. Not that
in the slightest.
I mean, that's even better, because there is like there shouldn't be any kind of difference. Obviously, the younger you get, you have to kind of be the adult and the responsible one or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. There's just something really cool and unique about it.
I only say all this, this is not meant to sound condescending, but what I mean is, it struck out to me because I couldn't help comparing him to me at 13, which was, I think I just learned to wipe my ass like the previous year or something, and he's out doing a podcast and all his like it's a brilliant interview.
It is. He's very driven. He does it every single day. He's found something that he's really passionate and really good at, and that's for that age is really cool. And I think that every generation does come in a little bit more evolved. I think that's kind of the point of evolution.
Probably,
that's what I believe.
So going back, your the live stuff. You put on these cracking live recordings on YouTube. There's two that I know of. One is called Dream Awake.
Yes.
And the other one, I don't see a name that I can pick out. It just says Tau World Premiere, but I can't discern a name.
That was the lockdown.
That was the lockdown one. That's right. My God, they are brilliant. They're just so excellent. And just the quality of everything and how it all tied together. That seemed really difficult to do, though. No, you made it look easy, but I'm sure, was that not really difficult to do? No,
it was. So the lockdown one was 2020. So we were just so happy to be in the studio together. It was like a total catharsis. We were just fucking buzzing.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because we did it. My then bass player, Ian Falconer, who's now the sound guy with the Mary Wallopers.
Okay.
And he does John Francis Flynn. He's an incredible engineer. He recorded it, and him and the then keyboardist filmed it. So it was just real DIY, but it just turned out it was so DIY, authentic, wasn't it?
Yeah, it looked amazing. And even the way you, I'm going to be really nerding out on this now, but like the way you started it, the intro from, to be honest, this is another thing I want to ask about, this character of the that I associate with the music video for the craw, and did the introduction, such a cool introduction. Now I know it's you, but it seems like it's this character almost.
It's not me, it's Mr. Craw. What are you talking about?
Shit.
It's Jane Crow, man.
Damn it. The veil has slipped.
Same way as Growler isn't D.
Okay. Nice.
Or channels, man. Channeling. Yeah.
I love that.
Very
I love
nicely
it.
there.
No.
I do love.
Go on,
sorry,
go on,
Sean.
Andy.
No,
No, go
I was
ahead.
just going to talk about the magic of the fucking crows. Like, because I was actually watching Craw and your mom and dad in that video that of Craw,
dude,
that song. It's
that's-
fucking cracking song, and I just but we've had a whole thing about crows as well on this podcast. It must be go back a couple of months now, because like where my parents live, there's a protected fort out the front, and like the crows leave and they come back, and when they come back, the fucking place is just like, I used to hate it. I used to be like, Jesus, we just want to have a fucking barbecue here, and there's like and they're fucking going nuts. But now there's just some sort of joy in them. I don't know why it is, but like, and I absolutely adore crows. So like watching all that, and you were involved in the Craw Festival over here in Berlin, I think at that
Yes.
time as well. Like, because we were involved in that as well, but only at my wife did the opening ceremony, and we did the closing ceremony, where everyone was fucked. And nobody wanted to get up, and poor old Richie had to fucking drag himself to us.
Oh my God.
bury this
I
body.
tell you, Craw Festival is the most legendary.
It was unbelievable. It was.
Ah,
I actually, it was the first time I ever met. The first time I ever met
chaos
Damien.
magic.
It's the first time I met Damien Dempsey. Was outside of Späti. We walked past and we saw him. He was drinking with that fella,
John
the actor,
Connors.
Johnny
John
Connors, and I saw him and I was like, let's sit down here and have a drink. And then of course, like, you get chatting to him as well. And then we walked to the gig together, and it was the first time I had met him. Now that was a bit of a stalking. Everything else after that was a little less stalky, and I've become less stalky as time has gone on. Yeah, that was such a legendary festival, and the whole theme behind it. And then seeing your mom explain the craw.
Oh yeah, what stuck in your craw? My mum had dementia at that time, and I mean, it's just almost emotional thinking about that video. It's just
really?
so beautiful. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Is she still with us, or?
So, no, she's not. She
very sorry.
she went back to Crawland.
Crawland,
to the winged ones, to the other world. But no, she passed away 3 years ago, and it was beautiful. She had dementia for like 11 years, and she went peacefully, and we were all there, and it was one of the most beautiful things I've ever experienced. But in that video, my mom, I was kind of taking care of my mom and dad for a period, especially for about 9 months in lockdown. I moved back home because they couldn't have carers, and it was all shit. You remember early lockdown, it was all nuts. And so I shot the video around just a year before that, and just the video came together. A very, very good filmmaker, a South African guy, excuse me, friend of mine called Kyle. We made loads of videos together.
Kyle Ferguson. Is it?
That's right, Kyle Ferguson. We ended up. Kyle was so intrigued by my family, my mum and dad, my house in Donamead, that he was like, "Can I start shooting here?" Because we were just, as is always with me, I have some vague idea of a music video. Oh, we'll get a crow and it'll be this world and that world, and I don't really know how to kind of get that vision of what I want onto a film and the budget and all that. But Kyle came and he just started filming me interacting with my parents, and we left it in. And when he edited it back and showed me it all, I was like, Jesus, this is really, really special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
So
is.
that's how
It
it
is
came
that
together.
classic. It's that classic scene of just sitting down at the table. You wouldn't know that your mum had dementia at the time. Of course, you will see it in there. But in the moment, all I could see was just the classic kind of person explaining the old ways, like sure, it's the craw. It just gets stuck in your throat, and yeah. So that was post Craw Festival. Then, did you write that song after the Craw Festival?
I think so, yeah. When was Craw? Do you remember what year it was?
Ed was gone
2016,
back, I
I
think.
think.
Yeah,
So
because you had left
2016,
for Ireland again, and we were still here. So, yeah, it must have been. I think where I was looking it up. I think you did that in 2019 or something, or at least the video, maybe.
Yeah,
I
that's
wasn't
right.
sure what.
The album. Yeah, I think I would have. I think I might. We might have got the festival name from the song. or else it was the other way around. I got the song from the festival name.
Yeah.
But Dee used to always say that, there's
Stuck in-
something stuck in your craw.
Yeah,
And I never heard that expression. Have you?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah,
do you?
yeah. I would have thought it was, common enough. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't remember. I didn't remember it, but must have been from, I don't know. But then when my mom explaining it, it's very cute actually.
It is, yeah. It's lovely, really lovely video. And yeah, I just wanted to ask about that, about this, because I love the headpiece of the crow, and then towards the end of the song, it gets wings, and it's just so nice, such a beautiful video. And yeah, there was something else about videos that I wanted to ask you about. Oh yeah, you mentioned before about it can be hard to do videos. I think sometimes it takes a lot of time and effort and stuff like that. But another standout one video was Song from the Earth. Sorry, Ceol and Cray.
Ceol and Cray, yeah.
Great video as well. Like really, really nice. And you shot that again up in, what was it? Iron
Sleeve
Mountains.
on Iron.
Yeah,
Iron,
that turned out that turned out beautiful as well. That video.
Yeah,
Really nice.
that's one of the videos that I'm really happy with. I'm like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, to get everybody up there in that mountain was a challenge. Damo, Paul, all the band, film crew. It was brilliant. That mountain is very special, by the way, for anybody interested in Irish mythology. The Slieve on Éireann, known as the Iron Mountain, is where the Tuatha Danann are said to have landed on ships from the sky. So that kind of ties in with the whole creation stories of, the Graham Hancock thing where he says these sages came on ships after the floods, the time of the great floods, like 11,000 years ago. And he's been doing all this research. And in Irish mythology, we don't have our Irish indigenous spirituality. We don't have a creation story, which most indigenous spirituality does. Like, most tribal spirituality has creation stories, how the world started. We don't. We lost it. We would have had it, I'd say, at some stage. There's other kind of stories, but there's no...
Blame the British. The British probably.
Yeah, we'll blame the Brits, as we do on everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how it... That's one of the stories, is how the Tuatha Danann came. They came on boats from the sky, which is... They probably came from Greece or Anatolia. Danu, tribe of Danu. That's what the Tuatha Danann means. And Danu is said to have come from Greece, who is like connected to Zeus's sister or something. There's a river in Germany called the Danube. Danube. Yeah. There's Danu, Dana. There's Danai. So there's loads of connections with. If you want to go back far enough, probably Vedic, then goes up to Anatolia, Greece, and then Irish polytheistic. Spirituality is all connected, I think.
Amazing to think those little breadcrumbs have lasted so long. I know there's been a lot of kind of rewriting and things like that, and they've had to compete culturally and all that, but it's amazing to see those little hints have lasted so long, thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It really is
true
amazing.
Stories.
Yeah.
True stories.
Really amazing, I'm kind of conscious of your time.
It's grand. I'm enjoying this.
Sure.
Yeah, I love talking. I'm a Gemini.
What you call it? I wanted to say to you about because when we spoke afterwards about the gig you did in Berlin with all that gang, I was like, that is, I don't know that. Like, how do you plan on kind of? You're going to be touring. You're playing. Where are you playing again? You're playing in Whelan's. You're releasing Pufferfish tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah. Pufferfish.
Where are you doing that?
When is the podcast out today?
Actually, sorry, the podcast is on Monday.
All right,
yeah,
so
Monday morning.
We're releasing it on Friday, so if this is out Monday.
Yeah.
So the Pufferfish is out then, but
yes,
the album
too late.
3 days ago.
We're going to get it for the next album, Sean. We'll have this fucking lockdown.
Locked
down.
Right, let's book it in now.
So, but then that's not the album. You're just releasing the Pufferfish on Friday.
Pufferfish comes out tomorrow. Friday the 31st, that's true.
All
and
right.
then the album is out Valentine's Day. An album about heartbreak and a breakup. I'm releasing it on Valentine's Day.
Was that a conscious thing? Do you mind me asking?
Do you have another hour and a half?
It's I'm telling you, don't get me talking about this. I'll start welling up. Right,
Jesus, we've already kind of.
this is going to go deep.
We'll pull you out.
It's been a
We'll pull you out.
year, all right. I'm almost out of it. No, it was a synchronicity, you know, as Carl Jung says, a meaningful coincidence. I was picking which day you're supposed to release traditionally, although it doesn't really matter anymore. Release a record on a Friday, and I thought it was too close to Bridget's because it's all the Bridget stuff and in bulk and all that, and I'm very much involved in all of that. So I was like, oh, Valentine's Day is good. Why not? Like it's a kind of brave thing to do. The record isn't only about heartbreak and break, as Andy, you know, as you were talking about earlier. You kind of went through something. You mentioned your wife, so I presume it wasn't a breakup, but there's a kind of a breakdown, breakthrough thing, initiation that we have to go through. And I went through that this year. I had a dark night of the soul. And early middle age, you know, was something that we don't talk about. We're all 42 here, boys.
We speak in code.
So
we speak specifically.
There is
through
a kind of a we have to go through these kind of. It's like, okay, where are you going now? What do you want to do? What's your purpose? So I was asking all those questions, finding myself again, picking up the pieces, because I love that woman, you know.
Yeah.
I haven't stopped loving her, and I don't. There's no button where I can just unlove her. But what I'm working on is, I used the grief and that period that I had in January, February, March to get this record together, and it's been my whole grief journey for a year till Valentine's Day. It's phenomenal that I chose to do that right in the middle, right on the breakdown. We broke up on the 21st. We call it uncoupling. It's hard, but that's what we're trying to call it. We're on very good terms, but so yeah, I used the whole period as a kind of a map through my grief and through the joy and the expansiveness of the grief, and of being able to feel all of those emotions which I never knew I had access to be able to know how much I loved and can love was really profound, and to put some of that onto a record seemed like a logical thing to do.
To be able to do that.
Yeah.
Like while I'm not going to pour my heart out like you are right now, and it wasn't love. Well, it's all connected. The entire thing is connected in weird ways, like whether it's your own kind of who am I, and that of course is going to affect your relationships and whatnot. But to be able to function, and like I just did a fucking podcast, man. I just started the podcast.
Yeah.
And talked, and honestly, the man beside you there has helped me for a full year, because like being locked into him for a week, like I would say we are quite close, the two of us, and the three of us when we moved over here to be in Berlin to be with him and play music with him and record an album with him. And yeah, it's funny, the things that you just need to grab onto, like a safe, like a what do you call a life buoy or whatever. It's just something to hold onto, like, because I guess there's enough people out there that don't have something to grab onto, be it music,
creatively,
or people. Yeah, and that's a gift we all, like, you know, we all kind of feel we have, even though I think there's different levels of the gift of music and creativity we're at the moment. But Ed might agree with me there, but we're working on it as well, and it's just to have that passion.
GC&D has served me well.
I don't know what that means, but
no, it's amazing, man. And like I said, that the gigs that you do, and so you have one coming up in Whelan's, and that's your kind of release for the album then, and then do you have many gigs coming up after that?
You're just after going into a really
a weird transition there.
Heart conversation, which I'm feeling deeply, and I'm like,
I'm trying to get myself out of it,
and
like, I know.
You. And I'm like, thanks, oh man, I can feel you there. And then you're like, so do you have any?
Yeah. I realized that.
You're bringing me into the heart here.
Sorry, man.
No, it's fine. It's beautiful. This is good stuff. Hey, let me slide back here.
No, I'll rewind and go. No,
what I love is that what you're saying is that, like, basically you found a vehicle to channel your grief, and Ed was a support for you, and that's beautiful.
That's that would definitely be, that would be it. Whatever grief or whatever struggles, it's kind of hard to define it, because I guess as 21st century whatever fucking men or whatever, even though we're getting, like, you kind of find it hard to kind of to even channel whatever it is you're trying to do, even though there's lots of outlets, like, but we all have
True.
friends and family that have kind of suffered because people, be it men or women or whatever, however you define yourself, you're struggle to just fucking talk about shit or do something about it.
I had a
That's so true.
a moment there where we talk about, okay, we're all, there's common elements to all of our path, let's say, through life, and there's kind of what's the word, a like a waypoint, or what's it called when you have to do something and then you're a man, kind of, what's that? There's a word for it.
Initiation.
Yeah, something like that, and you would we're speaking
Rite
about
of
broken
passage.
hearts, a rite of passage,
Rites of passage, yeah.
and speaking about broken hearts and things like that, and you were talking about this actually quite, and you talk about it quite openly, and it's really nice, and to be able to kind of communicate that way and to be able to put in your music, it's something I don't think I'd be able to do as openly, to be honest with you. So I'd really admire that. But you were talking as well then to again, I come back to Logan in that fantastic interview, and you asked him, you were like, have you ever had a broken heart, and I was like, God, it was such a wham question to ask, because, like, you wanted to see, is there context here for what I'm about to say? And of course, for him, there wasn't. He was, because he's 12 years old. And he was like, he had said like, no, I haven't had my heart broken yet. And you were like, yeah, God,
I think
You
I
will.
said something like, you definitely will at some stage.
because it is a thing.
It's fun.
It's an initiation, and if you can transform it, and like, so what I learned is, so, like, I don't know about you, as a man, I've been taught to suppress my feelings all my life. Don't show weakness, don't show vulnerability, don't cry, don't talk about your shadow, your deep struggles, your desires. Don't talk about all of these things, because if you show weakness in front of other men, then you might be attacked, let's say. That's what we're taught. But I joined a men's group a year and a half ago, and I recommend this for any man who's struggling, is to find a group of men where you can actually go into all this stuff in a safe way. So basically, shadow work, working on the parts of yourself that you don't usually show people, or the parts of yourself that you need to be supported in. And also the love that we have as brothers, as men, that we're probably, society doesn't reward us, just to be open-hearted and say, listen, I fucking love you, man. I love you. You're my brother. All of that kind of stuff. So I joined that group, and that really helped me. And I think that's why I was able to. And it's also about accountability. These are the things that I struggled with. I don't know about you guys, but like, all my life, being accountable, doing what you're going to say, having integrity with your word, all of those things. And if you have a bunch of men in a safe space to hold you accountable to these things, it's fucking the most transformative thing I've ever done. I've done all of the medicines and spiritual things, and went off to different cultures and experienced profound, like, what I've done a lot of things spiritually, but this is the best thing that I've ever done for my life.
Wow.
Is to join a men's group and to be able to be vulnerable is really, really powerful.
Did you know any of the men going in?
No.
Well.
No. So it's we do it once a week. It's online. There's 5 of us. This is a very, very special thing. It's been going for 5 years, and I kind of got in. It rotates. Some men leave. With every group, men come in, men leave. And this one, I got in, and it's just been. yeah, they're all over the world. There's an amazing guy, by the way, for everybody out there who wants to know about men's work and how you can help yourself be a better man and work from less shadow and be a healthy masculine or whatever. There's a guy called Mark Usher. Check out his podcast. It's amazing. Mark Usher, he's from Roscommon. He's the one who got me into this men's group. He left. And yeah, it's just every week. So we turn up for 2 hours and we do different archetypes works. We do the Jungian archetypes. We work with the king, the warrior, the lover, the magician. And you kind of see the patterns between all of these archetypes and what archetype do you need to be more of? What do you need to be less of? How it's just phenomenal. And then we do like all kinds of shadow work exercises, and it's really really profound, and it's helped me exponentially, because I realized I'm a bit of a nice guy, so so it's basically like this nice guy persona who's like um not as much as I used to be because I became aware of it, and this is an epidemic. I'm not the only one. There's a lot of men are like this and they don't even know it. Can't say no, very weak boundaries, constantly having an underlining what is it, like an under like expectations that you're not talking about, so you're always going to be bitter.
Oh, yeah.
There's this kind of, and I had a bit of that, and kind of like.
Sounds like you've been reading my diary again.
So anyway, we're going too deep into the psychological
No,
stuff.
it's
I can
honestly,
see your
man,
notes there.
there's honestly what you're chatting about, it resonates really nicely, Sean, with because it's similar to myself and stuff about the ego, and you thinking like you don't have an ego, whereas it's almost there is an ego inside you, but you're kind of, because you kind of see yourself as the nice guy, it's you almost kind of you're ignorant to it yourself. Trust me,
exactly.
Off podcast maybe, and with a beer in Berlin we can go even deeper, man. But
yes,
and I wanted to say to you just about those gigs as well, because I do that's what comes out of these gigs, and that's why I would say to everyone that's listening is to like get out to kind of Sean's gigs, or indeed any of the kind of artists that we've talked about, especially I will name all the people again because I know Nina quite well. I've known Nina for a good few years. Your sister Nina Hines, and Dee, of course, I've met over the last couple of months and maybe the last year. Damien Dempsey and Wallace Bird, and these people, like when you go to their gigs, it's like, I think I described it before, like to Ed, as being like, it's such a pure, and it's not about elitism. It's not about having any like nobody's rolling in the riches. We're doing these gigs in these beautiful intimate settings that are almost like, and the analogy I think I used was like the basement of the Titanic in the movie, where everyone's kind of just like, that's where the crack is, that's where everyone wants to be. There's no money, there's no airs or graces. Of course, in my version now, it's like me and Damo are at the front of the boat, and I'm telling him not to open his eyes, and you and Ed you're painting each other in another room. Just you're naked, Sean.
We're in the car below decks.
Ed's not naked. Nina and Wallace and Dee are all just going around pickpocketing, and
they're the orchestra.
They're the orchestra. Yeah, the two nephews then are pickpocketing people. We've sent them out to kind of pickpocket the rich.
If only one of us had been looking out for an iceberg, just one, it would have all ended so much better.
That's the ego. That's the analogy. The iceberg is
I feel like
that's the subconscious. The
iceberg.
Going deep Jungian here.
I feel bad because it's a reflex in me that I can't help making a stupid smart comment, and I feel like I pulled you out of a lovely line you were on there, and I'm sorry about that. That was fucking stupid.
I don't even know what I was talking. Can't remember.
No, it's really nice.
Off on one.
No, it's really, really, really nice. Really kind of profound stuff and helpful stuff, I think, as well. Because I don't think a lot of people talk about it too much. I mean, maybe people talk about it a lot, but not in ways that can kind of practically help you. I think that's what we miss maybe a lot.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to do with like spirituality and how I live my life. Is like, what's the results? results based
Yeah.
spirituality. It's great to be up in the clouds and namaste and all that.
Mm.
No disrespect to anybody, but I'm trying to be, the older I get, the more embodied in it,
Mhm.
you know, rather than just talking about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I talk about this because it's helped me. You know, men's work has helped my life in a profound way, and I want to talk about it because I want other people to be helped by that. You know,
Totally.
yeah.
And I think crossing that, making that step to actually talk about it, which again I can relate to in the last kind of couple of weeks and months. Like, I don't want to fucking sell myself in any kind of. I'm fine, and ma'am, I'm fine. I know you listen to the podcast. I'm okay. But
we
what do you
can be
call it?
fine, and we can be absolutely not
Absolutely.
fine at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
Like
That's the projection.
we're
of it.
complex beings, you know.
Yeah.
That's what
But,
I learned about. Sorry, go ahead, Andy.
No,
That's
no,
what
no,
I
no,
learned about
please.
the circle is that like we come in and we're like, we all have the same. Most of us have the same stuff going on all the time. You know, it's a complex thing to be a man, and we have also in our society what men don't realize is we also have a lot of shame. Men, you know, we hear about women being shamed, but men in our profoundly sick society are shamed too.
Mm.
So yeah, there's a lot there, but yeah, Andy, it's that's what I'm saying. We can be fine, but we can also be not fine at the very same time. So
Yeah. Right. Okay. Well, shall we will we give Sean some room to do something else for the afternoon?
Ed has loads more questions.
I don't. I have one more. Not even a question. I just
Leave it to me to wrap up then, Ed.
Yeah. It's the Osmos records. We didn't mention
Almost,
that.
yeah.
Almost. My apologies again. I did give Sean a warning before the podcast started that my pronunciation is going to be dog shite. So my apologies for that. Yeah. So almost records.
Almost means respect to Osquelga.
Yeah, it's a record company that you've started now yourself.
Yeah.
And give us maybe you want to tell us a bit about it.
It's a record label. Yeah. I had the idea actually when I was dancing after a growler gig in we did a festival. What do you call that festival? Beyond the Pale.
Oh yeah.
And I was there having a good cathartic dance to banging techno, and I was like, oh yeah, record label. Release Growler, release my album, yeah. Oh, release another. We've got loads of mates. Fucking hell, this would be amazing. And that's where it kind of came to me. And I've always I did release, I started a couple of labels in my time, 22 years in the business. But this one is more like a collective. So it's like all of our amazing friends who are already like just giving everybody a vehicle. And it's kind of a spiritual label because everybody who's doing it is kind of coming from similar backgrounds to I have, but not only. So yeah, it's really exciting. It's very new. It's very in its chaotic early gestation, kind of still figuring out how it's going to run, but feels great. And I love the word almost. I think it's the best word. It's just such a cool word, and it looks good. The word looks,
it's going to be easy to make a logo for that.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
That's brilliant. And yeah, again, just to one last plug, maybe. So Pufferfish is coming out 3 days ago. If you're hearing this podcast, the album "This Is My Prayer" is being released on the 14th of February. Available everywhere, basically.
Yes.
No surprising places below all the pubs, I remember as well, and online. And the release album's on the 15th of February in Whelan's.
Not only below the pubs, they're available on the counters.
On the counters as well. Ask at the counters.
It's only a non-alcoholic pub, so there's only one in Ireland.
Leitrim.
In Leitrim.
So get yourselves to Leitrim.
And go ahead. This is good. I'm enjoying hearing this.
Whelan's on the 15th. What time in
15th. So Whelan's, we have Dowan supporting us, the amazing Dowan from Bog Bodies. Anybody who likes folk music, listen to Bog Bodies. They're one of the best Irish bands. Have you heard them?
No.
Okay. Then we have Whelan's. We have Cork Crane Lane on the 16th. Then I'm playing in Donegal, up in Leo's Bar, which is Clannad's family bar from 50 years. So I'm playing there on the 28th or the 29th of March. I'll be doing some Irish festivals, solo, like playing with my own project. And then Tao is going to have an album out next year. Then the next release I'm really plugging myself now.
go for it,
I'm
man.
not used to this, but
It's brilliant.
the next release is going to be on Almost is going to be Elowen, a woman called Elowen, incredible female artist. And yeah, buy the record. That's all I'd say.
Yeah.
Download it. We don't have vinyls yet, but please, if you want to support an independent Irish medicine music record label, buy my record. This is my prayer. It's full of good stuff, and it would mean a lot to me if people support that way. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's great.
Mm.
Nice one.
All right.
Sean, thanks very much. Really appreciate the time.
Thank you.
It's brilliant. Really
Loved
enjoyed
it.
talking to you.
Thanks so much, guys. Loved it.
All right. See you next week, Ed, or at some stage in between. Sean, we'll see you over in Berlin. We'll have
brother.
that
Thanks,
one
Andy.
beer.
We will.
Or maybe two.
One or three or four.
Or two,
We'll
but
see what
only
happens.
three. Under three. After that, the body starts to shut down.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good week, everyone.
All right, man. Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye, Andy.
Whatever happens on this island affects the whole